What's up, guys? Welcome to Fitter Food Radio. This is episode 198. Sadly, it's not 200. I'm a bit disappointed. Thought we were at a milestone episode, didn't I? Got all excited. We
Good.
made it to 200. No, we didn't.
You've got productivity dysmorphia.
I have. I think I did the thing.
I like that because I've got the opposite.
Yeah.
I give myself grief all the time, so it's nice that you overestimate how much you've achieved.
Yeah, but it's only good while it lasts, though, because then when you realize you haven't actually done the things, you're like,
Do you ever have a dream, by the way? Surely everyone has this dream that you've got up and got ready for school or got ready for work, and you're actually not. Your alarm's gone off and you're snoozing. But in your head, you've got up, you're getting dressed, making your tea, and then suddenly your eyes open and you're like, oh, who haven't?
I'm in bed.
That I've had that dream since I was in my teens. Yeah.
Do you know what? I've never had that dream. I have had some kind of dream where my alarm's gone off and it's time to get up, and I get up and I get ready, only to then realize it's 3:27 a.m. and you're like, oh.
Oh, so
Yeah,
have
so
you
it's
actually done that, or you
yeah,
dreamt that?
numerous times.
Not dreamt it.
No, not dreamt it. I've
Oh,
actually
right.
done it, but it's almost like I must have dreamt that my alarm went off, and then I've woken
That's
up
like sleepwalking
and
almost.
gone, oh, it's time to get
Oh,
up,
right, yeah.
and then gone about my morning.
What sort of person wakes up and doesn't check the time?
Me, obviously. Until it's too late. Well, because in my head, I'm like, well, my alarm was set for 5 or 6. So in my head, that's the time, because I've convinced myself
It's funny because you always
the
go,
alarm's
you
gone
think
off.
I'm obsessed with time. Maybe I am obsessed with time. Maybe
You
people
are
do wake
driving
up
me
and just
mad.
get up.
My God.
Yeah, but
Tap in the Riz. Come on.
you're also rubbish with time though.
No,
Like
you are.
you can't even, you can do maths on anything except time. Like
My timekeeping is great.
it's
Have
not.
I ever missed a flight?
No,
Never.
but that's like once or twice a year. Like, have you ever been late? Yes, every day.
Oh, and
Every day.
you're Mrs. Punctual, are
No,
you?
but you make me late.
Lies.
Always make me late.
Look at you,
We had
like
this discussion the other day.
playing the blame game.
If it's just me, I turn up because it's obviously then I'm responsible. But if I'm with you, I can blame you. So then you make me late and I'll faff and I'll
Listen,
not be prompt.
you have to take full
knowing that I can
responsibility
blame
for your
you.
actions,
Anyway,
just like I do. When I'm late, it's on me.
if we ever get our wedding organised,
If you're late, it's
it's
on you.
gonna be such a nightmare. One of us is going to get there and the other one just won't be there.
No, I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud of it. My punctuality needs work for sure. Because it's rude. It is rude to be late for people.
It's not. You're not intentionally trying to. You're not just like you're a good person. You're not trying to say that other person's time is not important. In fact, the reason you're normally late is you've taken on too much to do for other people. So it's justified, but really annoying. And especially me and your mum tend to have the same reaction when you're never there at the airport on time, usually because you need a poo at some point.
I'm there, I'm just not there. You know what I mean? I'm in the airport somewhere.
Normally in the toilet.
Or getting a coffee.
Yeah.
I'm just not there at the arrivals with like
a board
open arms. Yeah. Even when I came to get you, you're like, we must have just missed each other. And Keris like, where are you? I'm outside the bloody airport. And I'm like, oh, I'm just coming off the loo. See you in a second.
I've just landed on the toilet seat. I'll be with you in 5.
Yeah. Might be here a while.
Anyway.
But well, do you know what? That's a good place to start actually, because I am guilty of overcommitting myself. And it comes from a good place. I don't want to let people down. I say yes, 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 yes. Super optimistic. And then it kind of bites me in the arse a little bit. And then I'm rushing. And then I do end up being late because I've tried to do too much. And
the funniest part, I have to say, is watching you. One of the reasons you're late is you have got time for a chat with everyone, and you have good chat. So it's a nice offering to have.
Yeah.
But whenever my best mates come over, a lot of my best mates are like, we love talking and I love talking. And they're sometimes
I really love talking.
You really love talking. And some of my friends are more extroverted. And in the end, I have to leave you and my friends. And recently we had a friend stay and the two of you were hanging out the washing together, chatting away. We were so late for where we were supposed to be, but it just made me laugh. It's like two wives over the garden fence. And it was such good chat, but it just makes me laugh that you are such a chatterbox. I've met my match, man. Yeah. It's impressive. And a lot of my best friends are very chatty, and that's why we get on. And when I put you and them in the room, it's just like I could fall asleep just listening to it. It's lovely. But you were even I'm like, I don't even know how you're still going. That's like record-breaking chat.
Yeah.
And that's normally what you're doing.
I got no comeback
on a dog walk or at the supermarket checkout. In fact, my best friend's in America at the moment, and she said it takes her 3 hours to do the school run because she stops. And she's got great chat and probably lights up everyone's day, but she stops for everybody and then chats at the checkout in the supermarket, chats with the barista serving her coffee, which is lovely. Like, it's nice, do you know what I mean? But that's, I suppose, frustrating if you're sat there going, where is he? We've got work to do. We're supposed to have a meeting right now. Like, where is he?
Because I was due back here the other week, and then I rang you on my way back. I was well late, and I was like, but I'd got chatting to this couple at the gym that I sit, and it was like a really lovely chat and whatnot, and we'd not really spoken properly before, but just on passing, and I kind of didn't want to be like, sorry, like I've got to go. Do you know what I mean? And but then of course I'm late and I'm running behind and blah blah blah, and it's a tough one. It's a tough one to get that balance sometimes, like depending on the circumstance. You know what I mean? Like,
also, I think you're someone who suffers for not having those interactions. Like when you have kind of spent days at home just plowing through work, and I've seen you do that. I've seen you spend like 5 o'clock in the morning on your laptop until like however long it takes. And God, you become so frigging grumpy. Like you need that. Like,
stop twitching. Must see
people. You're the sort of person that goes out and gets really energized by it.
But interesting.
I think everyone does, actually.
But I also crave solace as well. Is that the right word?
Yeah, solitary time.
Is that
more
right?
Like solitary time is probably
not solace.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, it's kind of.
I had moments
I wouldn't use solid. I wouldn't have used it.
Google that right now.
Matt's language.
I need to know. That's a good point, actually. And do you know what else is good with language?
Start your own dialect.
When you journal.
Yeah.
Like when I journal and I'll spell a word and I'm like, I'm not sure if that's spelled right, but I'm like, who gives a shit? It's my journal. I know what it means, so it's fine.
Yeah, and journaling is about being unapologetically yourself. Yeah. Like, in fact, this is what we were going to talk about.
We were going to talk about this.
What is the meaning? I can't. Do you know what's weird? Is if you'd asked me this before you questioned it, now I can't even think what the word means. Comfort or consolation in time of distress. Yeah, sadness. So it's not right.
Oh shit. Never mind.
You get solace from being solitary.
Solitary. Solitary, yeah.
You get solace from solitude.
Yeah, solitude. That's what I was after.
In doses, though. I just think everybody
needs... now I know what solace means. I shall use it. Look out for it.
Right. Just drop it into a social media.
Drop it in. Just give you a little look and a wink.
Yeah.
Like, see what I did there. It
brings me solace. I can't wink.
Imagine it's just...
Wink, do wink.
Huh?
So good.
Imagine it's just like random though. Like the conversation isn't even just...
What's for dinner? Solace in a cup.
Just
solace with some sourdough bread.
Had a real honking for lamb. They found out we had chicken. Felt so solace.
No, that's wrong. Yeah, that's it. Comfort in time of distress was finding solace. So
right.
You just de-solace.
Okay. I'm just chatting shit, aren't I? Let's move on.
That would be de-solaced. Anyway. Oh, so de-solaced. It's chicken, not lamb. That's how we'd use that word. But yes, the
quick, move on. Quick.
Yeah. So we were going to talk about today something that we've been helping a lot of clients with. We're actually looking at creating a kind of program about this, aren't we, at the moment, because it's become a fundamental part of how we help people, alongside nutrition, exercise, all the things that we've been doing for ages, supplements. Is a lot of people come back to us and they sign up to long-term packages with us for that kind of motivation and accountability, because they know what they need to do, but they're easily derailed or feel demotivated, think they lack willpower, or life gets in the way, or they struggle to put themselves first. And so we're kind of there on hand as a coach to constantly say, you first, come on, no, say no more. And these are like the root causes of people tell themselves a really negative, awful story. I lack willpower. I should do better. But one of the questions that we ask people is something that we've had to work on ourselves. We have very similar struggles to all of our clients. Sometimes around food and exercise. We've gone through phases, haven't we, with it? And definitely around work, identity, showing up to things like social media, which doesn't feel very natural for us. Like, if we're honest, does it? We're not from the technology to the just getting in front of a camera and speaking. It's never been something I've relished, nor you. You're brilliant at it. I don't know why you don't think like get on camera, like, because you're just such a natural. But I've struggled with it ever since I've had to start doing it. But I can do it, and I do it because I feel like I've got things to share and a purpose there. But at the root of everything is the kind of why behind that feeling. And what we've been getting clients to do a lot more is use tools, and that's kind of talking therapies, journaling, just taking time out to think. We'll choose different tools appropriate to each client, but ask the question like, why can't I do this? And often the answers why can't you, for example, say no to a second or third glass of wine when you know the outcome is going to be something that works against your health? So for me, it would be, I tend to, like, inhibition goes, I tend to eat loads more, and I'll tend to eat loads of the wrong thing, and then I'll have a terrible night's sleep, and the next day I will feel awful. I definitely get anxiety, so more anxious, low mood. But the shit I give myself for, why did you have that second glass? You know this is the outcome. And this is such a dark circle to be in, because we can do it on so many levels. And we're constantly criticizing ourselves, but you have to stop for a second. And this has all come for me through a lot of kind of deeper work practices, coming into the moment a bit more, basically kind of waking up and going, I just can't run this program anymore. It's making my life so painful to be in, that I'm constantly in a state of either, trying to undo something and overachieve and overwork, or just basically struggling through a barrage of negative emotions, guilt, shame. Inner critic is strong. And I'll sometimes pull it back after a few days of like whipping myself through work and restriction and like giving things up and doing everything to the letter. And then I can finally almost breathe and go, you pulled it back. Only to start the cycle again and go and get another glass of wine.
Rinse and repeat.
Yeah, basically. And I've had versions of this kind of go on for a very long time as a result of anxiety. But what I had to ask myself was, what is going on behind the anxiety? And go down another layer and another layer. And that's kind of what we've been asking people to do, isn't it? So why can't you get better? Why can't you heal? Why can't you get fitter, stronger? There'll be loads of things, and it's the why that is actually going to be the ultimate breakthrough when you get there. But what I'd say is, it's, for me personally, and you probably agree with this, I think you're going on a similar journey, because you've got habits and beliefs that you really want to break, because they're limiting you in terms of, I'd say with you, more from a career kind of work capacity. You've never sports wise, like, there's nothing you can't do. There's something that you basically had great achievements at most of the things that you've done. Although I know you're going to say, no, I've given myself some grief over a few things.
No, I have. I have. And carry on though. I don't want to.
No. And I think it's probably one of the most powerful journeys I've gone on, because I said to you last Friday, didn't I? And I think, I don't know why, I get a feeling that I'm halfway through life. So
she's going to live to 90.
Oh yeah. Oh God, I can't do maths even. No, 88.
Well, it's kind of like rounding up there.
Yeah, 88. I don't know why I get that feeling.
Why did you look at me like that?
No, because
when I said 90,
because I definitely don't want to live to 90. I know that.
You maybe ain't got a choice in the matter. I mean.
But do you know why? Because I've never actually, maybe I haven't seen anyone enjoy 90, if I'm really honest. In my family, they've all gone to 90 and all turned to me and said, I never wanted to be here at 90.
No.
So actually, that's a limiting belief that maybe I need to break.
There you go.
So I thought, well, 88 is...
How about flipping it, going, I want to be the first person in my family to be thriving at 90.
Salsering at 90.
Yeah, with no teeth in.
That reminds me.
You just don't care.
There's a woman here in the village in Portugal, and basically every morning she goes to the petrol garage, because the petrol garage serves coffee really early. So me and you go sometimes on our dog walk, and it's really nice because there's a whole bunch of people there kind of that have to be up early. And she gets there with a shopping trolley, which is full of dog treats. And she gets a double espresso, a shot of Madronia, which is like a strawberry liquor, really strong, has both at the counter, doesn't she? Mm-hmm. Comes out, lights up a fag, and then basically goes around all the dogs, including Hamish. Hamish loves
There's
her.
normally like 3 or 4 dogs there just scattered around.
And she's got the dog treats and they adore her. It's like the Pied Piper. They all follow her. She's loved. And she puts a little beatbox on, doesn't she? Yeah. Usually with 80s music. And that's it. She goes around the village feeding all the dogs. And I'm like, that's a life goal. Life goal, yeah. And I don't think she's got any teeth.
She's lovely though. She's lovely. Like,
so lovely.
It's just amazing because Hamish adores her, doesn't he? Yeah. Like, obviously he's made that association now that I just get lots of affection and treats from this woman.
You always say love. What do you say? Love is not love conquers all. You say love. Tell me yours.
Love is always the answer.
Love is always the answer. So there you go. We're all here eating more protein, taking our supplements, and actually we just need to be feeding stray dogs with an 80s tune in the background. We're all good.
Yeah. But I think it just ties in with like she's just happy being her. Like she's just.
But this brings it back to like so many people would judge that entire situation and go, loads of different ways that you could judge her for what she's doing.
Why are you drinking alcohol this early?
Yeah. Because I really want. Let's face it, everyone wants to. They just won't dare. Like they've got too much responsibility. But what I was going to say is it all comes back to. Like, if I'm halfway through my life, if I'm really honest, when I've been looking at my why, it's things that have been dictated to me. So I really, really love the work of Janine Roth. She's an author who writes a lot about this, about how your body and your appearance gets kind of taken from you at an early age. And this has got worse. I think our grandparents and parents' generation, it really started to happen, but with our generation and social media reinforcement, it's really kicked in. And we're told, she actually says, it's almost like your body's taken from you and you are told how it should look, how it should be. Some people have maybe invaded your body in terms of like, there's all sorts of things that can happen to your body. So we begin to dislike our body, disconnect from our body, but also punish it. We want it to look a certain way. We want it to have a certain physique. We want it to do all these feats of strength. We want it to impress everybody. And then it kind of ties into our ego, and our ego is like, I want to be the best. I need to do this. I need to do that. I can't appear to be failing. And everyone goes at different areas of their life with this and dedicates a ton of energy to it. So maybe at some point you give up on your body because you're just like, I just hate it that much. I'm not even going to look at it. I'm going to hide it under clothes. I don't care if I gain weight. I've seen that happen with clients. I just have this complete disconnect with my body, but it's a disconnect with self. So instead, I'll focus on what can I do. I could just throw all my energy into work and people pleasing, and or I could throw all my energy into. I've even seen some people do this with like volunteering and working in a dog shelter. Like they're amazing in terms of doing all of that, but they've let themselves like. Trying to think of a word. In the meantime, they're still hiding their body. They're still not connecting with themselves. They're still self-soothing with food and kind of not wanting to feel emotions. So even though on the surface of it, they're getting some status and recognition and validation for doing things, like I said, volunteering work, helping people, there's still this deep down, but I dislike self, and I don't like my body, and I don't like being in my body, and I don't like unless my body looks like XYZ. And that's the other kind of message that we give ourselves. And I think it's becoming so destructive, and that's the reason that we're repeating self-sabotage over and over and over again, and to go on the journey of finally going, who am I and what do I like? And I have had a battle, I think, since we became a business, and that suddenly I had all these people to help and support, which I really, really wanted to do. But then I just lost myself in that story, and I completely disconnected from myself to the point where everything that was happening to me, I was like, how can I turn this into an article, a podcast, something that's going to convey this to others to help them, before even giving myself chance to, embed it, integrate it, and live it. Like, I'd almost kind of find this knowledge and share it really fast. And I think some of that comes from that you have an innate desire to care and look after others, for sure. And lots of people that go into our industry are, very much like, I just want to help people. But a lot of my clients who are very busy helping people, this could be kids, parents, people at work, are almost disintegrating themselves in the process. And I can kind of see how that's happened to me. And it's only because I've probably stayed with was being in the health industry. I've eaten really well, I've exercised, I've got my sleep. So I've ticked a lot of boxes. Had I not been doing that, I think I would probably be, I don't even know that I'd be here. And that's God's honest truth. I could have probably worked myself into the ground so badly doing all of that. And at the root of it all is like just a lack of self. And you could say self-esteem, you know, self-love, but it's so many things. And I can't blame myself for that process because there were lots of reasons that it happened. I look at life events and I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see how that happened now. I can see why those comments were made then. And it's not just about body image. Body image became something that I think for me, and I think for a lot of people, we can control that. And it's that last little bit that we can control what other people think. But the crazy part of that situation is you're still trying to impress. So you still care what other people think. So your whole life is being governed by caring for others and caring what people think about you. And it's really fucking hard, really hard. No matter whether you're nailing it and kind of up there on Instagram with your 6-pack and you're kind of really bolshy, confident, like banter, it's still really hard because you are basing a lot of yourself on external validation. And to be really true to yourself, this is something else that's come out for me, is when I actually go true to myself, most people are going to think I'm a bit of a nutter. Because, you know, like the things that we love doing, like I've said to you recently, singing out of tune, dancing like no one is watching, but really we should dance like that when everyone is watching. That's like you being unapologetically you, not brushing your hair, you know, turning up with a bogey on your nose. This is like, not saying that we should do all this stuff, but like, you know what I mean? Like, think of the instance where you've hung out with like spinach on your teeth or something, come home and gone, oh my God, how mortifying. Why didn't anyone
tell me? Yeah. Do you know what I must say? I always tell the person.
Yeah, you do. Do you do bogey? I know you tell me if I've got a bogey.
I'll tell anyone.
Would you? Well, like a complete stranger? Like,
well, not if I'm just like walking past them in the street. But like if I'm in a conversation with someone and then there's something in their teeth, I just say, hey, sorry, you got like a thing in between your teeth there. Or, you know, like, because I don't know, I think they'd appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But ultimately, like, yeah. You should be able to take that comment and go, oh, thanks. But most of us go, how embarrassing.
Which it's not. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not. Like, I mean, you know, it's like
being in a low place, you know what I mean? A low bar at the start means that, yeah, that's embarrassing.
But I do think though, like, you know, that there's to get to the point of genuinely not caring. I mean, maybe that's not the right way to say it. But like, it's not about not caring what people think as such. It's about not allowing what others may or may not think,
to dictate you,
to impact you. Yeah. And I think that's the thing, because oftentimes, like, I think,
I just want to add, to be an acceptable member of society, obviously there are boundaries to some of this stuff. Like, I'm not saying run down the street naked or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't do anything illegal. Nothing's going to get you arrested.
We've gone too far the other way because of things like social media, because we're overly connected, because we're dictated to 24/7. We've gone too far the other way.
But that's the thing, right? It's like it's all about like I suppose it's perception. I guess it's like, what is your perception of success? What is your perception of a fit, healthy body? What is your perception of an attractive body or an attractive personality? Like, whatever it might be, like it's like, you know, we need to kind of like look within and go, well, actually, what is success to me? You know, from a personal, professional point of view. Like, you know, you might see someone else that may look like they've got more money than you, that they're in better shape than you. They might seem more disciplined than you, more confident, funnier than you, whatever it might be. Like, the list goes on. Like, we can compare ourselves all day long to anyone that we might feel, you know, I suppose, like for us, you know, like we've done a lot of comparison over the years to other people in the health and fitness industry, and kind of a bit like, well, oh, why don't our videos get that many likes? Or, why aren't like we as popular as that? Or do you know what I mean? Like it's easily done. We've all done it, and I'd be lying if I said like I still didn't get triggered from
Yeah.
time to time, but
And that's okay as well. Like I think it's
of
all,
course.
I think part of finding yourself is and I know that just sounds so cheesy, but I think if we look around, one of the great things about coming here for me was I thought moving to Portugal, setting up, taking the pressure off, coming and living between the mountains and the sea, my body would just naturally heal. And I'm grateful that it hasn't. In fact, I got worse. So I was like, okay, so what is going on here? And I had to go, what came with me was my thoughts and perceptions. So I knew then this is what has to change. And this is what I'm going to have to break down little by little. It's been the hardest thing I've ever done because it's decades of, programming that I'm having to break down and beliefs. But I think part of it is seeing people here lead such simple lives and be so much happier than a lot of people I know who have so much. And I think we can get to a point in life where we're so swept up in life. We're putting on so much pressure. We have so many things being dictated to us from parents, society, whatever, like government, politics, all this stuff. It's a lot of it's out of our control, but they have these mantras and these dogma that they kind of like they put upon us, like you need to be doing this, you should have this by now. Even speaking to my parents when we get onto the subject of finances and it's like pension and this and that, and do you know how scary it is with the budget and the government? It's fear. And I think actually it's not giving us chance to go realistically, how do I love a life? How do I love getting out of bed each day and going into life? Yes, there'll be bad days. Yes, there'll be tragic times. Yes, there'll be difficult emotions. Yes, I'll be triggered. But the majority of the time, I know I'm on the right path. And I definitely was not on the right path because I was putting all my effort and energy into things that were really hard. And I was fighting and fighting and fighting to achieve them. And yet there are things that I can do so effortlessly that come to me so naturally, and I love doing them, and I wasn't doing any of that stuff. Even the way that I practice with clients, I've actually come back and kind of really tuned in to like listening to my heart and gut, and I'm like, I know what this person needs. I don't need to go and write really complex reports, do loads of in-depth courses on genetics where we don't even know anything, a fraction of what we need to know about this stuff anyway, so I can park that for now. But because there's pressure in an industry to know it all and to be seen to be doing all the best courses and talking about the most innovative supplements and new stuff and science, and definitely with nutrition, I think it's suffered slightly from this influx of like evidence-based pressure. I've always gone to evidence. That's how we're trained as nutritionists. But now it's almost like evidence-based. And if it's not in the evidence, it's not valid. Well, it's like, but if we look at tribes, there's such little research that's done on why they're doing what they're doing, but they're thriving and enjoying life and happier than us with much less than us. They're much healthier than us physically, mentally. And I look at the things that they're doing that have become so apparent to me. It's been so good moving countries because I've realized, where is my time sat around the fire with everybody chatting, venting about the day, maybe in terms of this went wrong, but you know what, like let's sing a song. And I'm not saying I do that, by the way. However, the longer I've been here, the more, and I'm having singing lessons, the more I've been like, can we just meet up and sing like Queen and David Bowie Under Pressure, like around a fire? Like how awesome would that be at the end of the day? But I've also found here a lot of people are drawn to the west coast of Portugal because it's so expansive. So you've got the mountains, you've got the sea, there's so much space, you can be on your own. We were both saying we've gone on walks and I've danced, I don't know if you've danced, but like just gone to a cliff top and scream.
I do more like a shoulder shuffle.
You like a shake, do a shake out, like to get rid of stress, all these skills that we're being taught now to kind of work through emotional stuff. And because of the expansiveness of it, we're watching moon rises, glorious sunsets, and we're getting perspective. And that's really helping us in terms of like what is truly important, what makes us healthy, what makes us feel good. And it's something that we are so keen to share with people because I think it's been lost. But it's almost like finding that connection to self first is really powerful. And often for me, life is getting simpler and simpler and simpler. I'm taking less supplements than ever. I'm not overthinking my nutrition. I know what to eat. I'm just looking after basic needs, simplifying my exercise, and really prioritizing like nourishing that as with really good mates that lift me, saying no a lot more, not feeling guilty for saying no, which is the second most important thing, and just surrendering to what life has in store for me. And already I can feel, I've always known with my stomach that the kind of hypothesis was, oh, something's wrong with your GI motility and it's upsetting all your pHs, blah, 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 blah. We don't know why. We don't know why. Surely it was like there was a disconnect. There's a disjoint. Something's not relaxing. Something's not letting go. So that has been my focus. But also it's a more enjoyable life. Like a lot of the things I was doing were just distraction and just like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to feel a different feeling. I don't want to feel a negative feeling. I don't want to look at fear. I don't want to look at guilt. I don't want to look at, and all the time you're just this ball of tension because you know at any point another big wave could completely take you out because you're so like not serving your needs, if that makes sense. I don't know if any of that made sense. It was kind of like a ramble, but I guess what I'm trying to say is
was it
we've started,
is this the story you're creating?
Talking about what can we do like at ground level, just like the last bit of my story. What can we do at ground level? What can we do at ground level that like serves community, serves the world? And there's loads of things that we've talked about, volunteering and stuff, but I've said realistically I'm going to get stressed about time at some point. So we just started doing things like, okay, let's buy from good producers and farmers and you know, buying the best produce that we can, local, supporting local people,
recycle.
We're on a mission to buy all our clothes from charity shops.
Joanne, so far so good, right? We said like for our kind of winter clothes here, like which is more like you don't need full-blown jackets as such, but like some fleeces and things like that, like we get them from charity shops. And to be fair, I think we've probably found the best charity shop ever in the world.
We've found a couple, haven't we? I think
like, bloody hell,
come on holiday here or live here for a little while. And
I spent €45 in one the other day. And I was like, I've never spent this much in a charity shop in my life. But there was just so much good stuff.
We had about 10, 11 items of clothing each.
It was amazing.
It was really impressive. But things like that, and like I said, if you can volunteer or pick up some litter on your dog walk or something, you know, like
it is genuinely is the little things, and it's the actions that you take. And what I kind of like wanted to say there is like you can't commit to an outcome. You can only commit to an action, right? And I think what was interesting with what you were saying there, and this is something that like we've spoken about before, is like, you know, with your symptoms, and you came out here last year for a spell, and it was to kind of just, you know, be in nature more, rest, allow yourself the time and energy and headspace to heal. But we kept saying, didn't we, like, but you know, you can't see you going to Portugal for a break as the answer. There's no guarantee that this is going to be the answer, or that it's going to fix you, or it's going to take your symptoms away. Same as us now moving here and calling it home for the time being. It's like for you guys listening, like we've been on a journey. We're learning a lot whilst we're here, and it's we were able to move here, you know, because of our circumstances. But what I'm saying to you is like, it's not a case of like, oh, well, I have to move country to be able to work on myself, or you know, I have to be here or there. It's like, because that's when you start creating attachments that again start tying into this story you're telling yourself. Oh, I can only achieve that when I live abroad. I can only achieve that when the kids go off to university. Like whatever it may be, don't let yourself start to tell yourself that story. Don't go there. Like, and think of like, what actions can you commit to right now that are going to help you move forward in some shape or form? It may not be the answer, but there's probably a good chance it's going to benefit you in some shape or form. You know, like just quickly, so just talking about like recycling, you know, is just this household recycling going to save the planet? Who knows? But we're going to commit to that action because it feels good. It feels like the right thing to do.
It's a ground up approach, isn't it?
Yeah.
To like a global problem. But I was also going to say, you're right. I don't think anyone needs to move country, but that was the great thing. I moved country and got worse.
Yeah.
So as much as I thought I was controlling and dictating my kind of healing process, I was not. And then when I've now stepped back and done as I've mentioned to you, so much more meditation, mindfulness, gone very deep. And this stillness, this awareness, just sitting still for long periods of time, reflecting, has enabled me to see I would have gone on this journey wherever I was in the world. I know that for sure, because my body just basically kicked the bucket over, and the body keeps the score. That's obviously a famous book, but it will win, and it will take you out. And mine did. And I'm really grateful for it. And it refused to heal until I listened. And listening has been sitting still and doing some very deep work, some reflection, some journaling, some talking therapies. I would have had to get here anyway, because as I said, nothing was fixing me. No treatment, no supplement, nothing, no diet, nothing. So it's taken me on a journey that I'm utterly grateful for, as I mentioned, because I've realized the first 44 years of my life have been full of it started to become an increasingly hard, difficult fight that I didn't want to continue with. And I was getting further and further from the truth, from myself, from the things I wanted to be. And I was letting everything else be dictated to me, and everyone's thoughts were dictating my beliefs. And this is the kind of bit where it was kind of like my stop, my wake up, and really think about the next. I don't know why I think I'm going to live for another 44 years. Like you said, who knows?
Who knows?
So you could call it, like I am calling it, a spiritual journey, because that makes so much sense to me. But if I hadn't gone here, then it would have been, I don't think I would ever get well. And now I know I'm going to get better because I basically look back, and there were so many things that happened. And I even look at like meeting you, and we wrote a post on social media about this recently. And I just said, like, it's so mad. We lived 2 streets away from each other for years. I ran past your house. We never met. I used to go into the leisure centre where you were a PT, but we worked it out. I mean, you would have been 17 and I would have been 22. So that would have just been absolute no from me. Do you know what I mean? If you've even tried your look on me, I'd have been like, what the heck? So I think it's been amazing. But I even look at my mum and dad brought this house in Rajil over 20 years ago. And like, who knew that it would become the place where I would be able to take some time out and really go like, okay, you can't carry on like this. So what are you going to do next? And yes, you don't need to come here, as you just said. A lot of people do come here to define themselves because of the space and the nature and the peace and the quiet, and there's so few people around. And I will love, it's totally on my agenda to bring people here for exactly the same journey. Yes, there'll be kettlebells. Yes, there'll be yoga, but there will be a lot of like, do you really enjoy the life that you're living right now? Do you really want to do the things that you're doing? Yes, we have things we have to do.
Reflect, man.
But there's a lot we have to do. I'm not denying that. There's people I have to spend time with. There's work I have to do. But there's also a ton of stuff that I wasn't enjoying that I now enjoy, because I've realized how important it is to me. And I've added stuff in that, as I said, nourishes me. And I've got stronger at going, no, I'm not doing that. And I don't care if you don't like me for that. And, a lot of overgiving and people pleasing and overworking, overreaching comes from not valuing yourself.
Yeah.
It really does. And you can keep doing it, but it makes for a very hard life. And I think the first step to stopping the process is actually
pattern interrupt.
Well, it's kind of acknowledging the process, because when you're in it, you can't see it. And like I said, you get out of bed each day and kind of go, oh, this shit again. And then it's like, look in the mirror, give yourself grief for body's aging, this is happening, bags under my eyes, hair's falling out.
I have got bags under my eyes. One eye in particular.
You have one ball bag. We call it the one ball bag, don't we?
Bilbo Baggins.
Yeah, just because it looks like a ball bag on the eye.
It does.
Let's just zoom in on that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think it is that kind of noticing that some people call it a trance state. You're in a trance, a very negative trance, and you get up and you're in the negative trance and you repeat all the behaviors that don't serve you. But I think what's happening with age and more social media and more information out there is you're firing up screens all over the place. Do you know what I mean? It's like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, like fire up stuff and look for information and search and find and try and distract yourself from reality, because you don't like the reality. So it's about stopping all of that and kind of facing the reality, which is the hardest thing to do, because creates a real sense of discomfort initially, because you're like, I don't really like a lot of this stuff, but I don't know what to do about it. But I don't actually think you need to do anything initially, because the first bit is awareness, observation, and then it's with time and taking a bit of time for yourself. And that might be like more time at the weekends, more time in the evenings, a little bit more mindfulness work. Maybe you need a support system for this, like talking therapy, or, you know, CBT, NLP, all of these different modalities. You'll slowly begin to kind of peel back layer by layer and understand that actually you can have an amazing reality, but you've told yourself the opposite. And then you've been like an awesome lawyer searching for evidence to confirm your negative bias. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're brilliant lawyers when we want to be, aren't we? Like, we can fight a case to feel bad about ourselves.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, and I think, like, tying with what you just said, I think, like, acknowledging things, you know, creating that awareness, like you said, is definitely step number one, because it's only once you have the awareness that you can do anything about it. But then the next stumbling block for a lot of people is that change can be scary, and as much as people aren't happy where they are, and people can acknowledge that, I think they can say, you know, I'm not happy with how I look, I'm not happy with how I feel, I know I could be looking after myself better, but for one reason or another, like, they'll using what you just said, they'll almost fight their own case to justify why they continue doing the things that they do. And I think a big part of that is a form of procrastination, because they know that this change is going to be difficult, it's going to be tough, and there's probably
can feel impossible, like you can't do it, so what's the point?
Exactly. Like, there's going to be an element of self-doubt, maybe from past experience, or whatever it might be. But, you know, something we've shared before is that, you know, often, in fact, all the time, you know, the things that we want, that success, is on the other side of discomfort. You know, we need to push through an element of discomfort. And I think, like, for me, it comes back to that. Have you ever heard that thing of, like, choose your hard? And it's like, getting in shape is hard, but being out of shape is hard. Choose your hard. You know, like, earning more money is hard. Being broke is hard. Choose your hard. Like, so I think it's not a case of easy hard. You know what I mean? It's like,
it can all be hard.
Life can be pretty hard anyway. So it's almost like, what hard are you going to choose? And I think if you can start tapping into, you know, almost like leaning into that discomfort, and almost embracing it, and kind of thinking, well, life's gonna be hard anyway, so I might as well go down this route of hard, with the view that there's something good at the other side. You know what I mean? Whereas the other hard is hard, but just keeps you where you are.
And also, I think what's got more confusing is you can get a lot of positive feedback for doing very destructive things to yourself. Do you know? So when we look at like getting healthy, you know, you can really like diet down to kind of definitely suboptimal nutrition levels, body fat levels, and you get this like, wow, look at you, you know, amazing. You could beast yourself with like marathon after marathon after marathon, and everyone's like, oh, but look at you, you know. And then if you can't do those things, you know, then there's that loss of status, that loss of like relevance, that loss of kind of praise. If that's what you were relying on, that's a dangerous place to be in. In fact, I had this conversation about 10 years ago with a friend who said, I feel like the prettier a woman is, the more tortured she is. And it's almost like, and like in her words, she said, I'm glad I don't fit the kind of size 8 blonde stereotype, because they just seem like the most miserable women to me, because they just fight to look that way and be kind of, I guess, you know, kind of put on a pedestal in a way, or like, you know, admired, and are constantly seeking, you know, perfection in their appearance, which is just so hard. Let's face it, it's always hard to maintain that. We just said that earlier, and it was just a really interesting comment, because I thought, yeah, she's actually right, where you can look around at some people who've almost like, I couldn't give a stuff how I look, and they're a lot happier, you know. And I'm not saying that it doesn't have to be either extreme. It's about kind of coming home to our body, ourselves, and how we look, and kind of celebrating our uniqueness. And I think there's like really lovely steps that you can take with it. So for example, like a piece of jewelry or something that means something to you, and it could be that you're gonna so for me personally, a friend made me a bracelet, and I've almost used it as like a for courage. Like I sometimes, it's this one actually, and Bethan made me this, my friend, and I'll the naughty I know, and I've already broken it and bent it, so I need her to help me amend it. But what I'm saying is, it's like,
it's got character.
Yeah, but it came from love, and I sometimes, when I want to do something really brave, I'll sometimes hold it, and it kind of is like, right. And I'm doing a lot of stuff. I'm going out of my comfort zone on a lot of levels at the moment, trying a lot of new things, a lot of activities, even just like meeting new people here, and trying not to go back into, we went through a phase when I first got here where I could almost feel myself going back to like new kid at school behavior, and starting to find friendships with like absolute narcissists who were gonna like drain my kindness, do you know what I mean? But I was a bit like, oh, but they want to be my friend, that's great, you know. And then after a while, obviously you landed and was like, what are you doing? You're just like exhausting yourself trying to, you know, fit in. And it's like, take your time with the process. And I did. And do you know what, we stepped back and we just settled in. And do you know what, the friendships have come so naturally. And if you're connected with yourself, I've been able to like read situations, read people much better, and actually go, yeah, this is a good egg, a great person for me. And it's really interesting because I've just ghosted a couple of people that I met and walked with. We like bumped into each other on a beach or something and walked. And it was nice and we chatted, but part of me felt like, it's when they said, oh, let's go for a coffee, I thought we could, but I think this would be hard work for me. We don't really have much in common, and I'm asking you 120 questions to keep the conversation going. And like, you know the score. And I was like, this will be very one-sided, and I'm not sure it's a friendship that I need right now. And so there's a little bit sometimes of ghosting going on, and that I used to carry guilt with that, and I'd maintain so many friendships for the sake of maintaining a friendship and not wanting to hurt somebody. But I think if you're not a right fit, you know, you've just got to kind of,
it's not ghosting though, is it? It's just, you know, not kind of, isn't like,
no, you can always say, I'm so busy,
yeah, I mean, it's
so
tough,
busy till 2026. It's just not hurting someone, but knowing that you probably don't have much in common. And like I said, you could end up making,
it's, I mean, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because like, you know, like, let's be honest, like, I think everyone meets a lot of people that it's like, oh yeah, you know, nice enough person and all of that, but there isn't a lot in common.
not the glue,
and
not the connection.
And you know, we are very lucky in that, you know, we've made some fantastic friends here and in such a short space of time. And it's like, wow, like, but it happened just so organically. And I think, funny enough, a friend of mine, when we first got out here, said they were worried about me because they were like, you know, like, I know you're a bit of a lone wolf anyway. And I just worry that being out there, you're going to almost become too isolated from everything. And I thought, well, actually, I probably am more sociable and see more people since I've been here. And than I was back in the UK. And that's the truth, right? Like, I'm not even exaggerating. I mean, my circle's always been small because, like, I like solace. Solitude. And I do. I love my own company. I think I'm great.
You are, to be fair. But also, if you are happy in your own, this is the other thing. I remember saying this when I was single, that the next person that came along, once I'd got settled single, I was like, well, the next person, what's great now is I could live like this completely. So the next person has to add to this situation, which was you.
It was me.
And has to make life better. But I had to be happy single because,
and didn't I just?
Prior to that, I was staying in a relationship because I was too scared to be on my own, and that's not a reason to stay in a relationship. It's not a reason to stay, and it's not a reason to make friends with people that you don't really enjoy spending time with either. Like, it's, and I think the more that you connect with yourself and explore what you love doing and what, you know, what makes your heart sing, the easier it becomes, because you then start to kind of, I know this is going to sound funny, but the people that have done this, that have been mentors to me and I've watched in life, they just shine and people want to be with them anyway because they're so happy. And so, you know, so naturally you become that way. And so eventually, you know, you start meeting people on the similar wavelengths to you. I had a really interesting interaction yesterday. There's like, dogs are just such a good connection. And there's been so many occasions, we said like pretty much all the best people we've met here so far have been through Hamish, and it's been crazy. Hamish has basically like gone over and played with their dog, and it starts a convo. And actually we reflected that this was the same in Kent, wasn't it? More or less everybody that we spent most time with had a dog. And that was the kind of, we met through the dog, or we just love walking the dogs together and going to the pub with the dogs. But yesterday I found a visual came out of nowhere and basically started, it's a girl visual, trazzing around Hamish. And I knew I'd seen the owner before. So she had a number on her, and I called him and said, your dog's kind of in the middle of a field. And he was like, oh no. And he came and met me. And we walked together for a bit, and it was really nice because he had been to walk part of the Camino Way with the dog. And instantly we were just like talking, you know, like it's like we've known each other years, because it's two people who, he said, I've come here because I just love, you know, kind of places where I can have loads of time in nature, and he likes all the same beaches that we like here, you know, the ones with nobody on it. So it's so straight away on the same page. But it was interesting that we both got hounds that mean that we have to get out and walk a lot as well. And and then he planted the seed of the walking the Camino Way with a dog, and I was like, oh, could I do that? Me and Hamish, not you.
Charming.
I know, only because I talked about walking it and leaving you to earn all the money whilst you often find myself on.
Okay. Did I agree to this?
No, don't worry. I won't do that.
No, you can
Not
do
yet.
it. You can
Not
do
yet.
it. But I'd want a week off at all.
I had a little idea where I was like, do I just take, remember I did that sardine fast where I just take tin sardines?
Yeah.
We both did it for a week as a keto fast.
That's awful.
No, it was good though, wasn't it? And that you don't think about food for a week.
No, but I know. But I mean, like if you're walking the Camino Way, I don't know. I think after doing a big old schlep, I want to look forward to something more than a tin sardines.
They were just going to be snackettes on the way.
Okay.
So I would. I'd try and find like amazing here. So not Camino Way. I was saying I'd want to do the Rota Vincentina here, which is the coast of Portugal. Yeah. But basically, there's like grilled sardines, and because I'm kind of dirty carnivore is probably a term I would use.
Absolutely.
Because after macadamia nuts, I'm kind of dirty carnivore. So
nothing wrong with that.
So I was thinking if you could take nuts and tinned fish and then stop off, I could probably do it. I wonder how many tin sardines it would take to walk the whole Rota Vincentina. I don't even know the full distance. I need to look it all up.
It's a bit of a schlep.
Yeah. I don't think Hamish would make it. He's got a little bit old bones now, isn't he?
I don't know, I think as well though.
I mean, he would do it, but I'm not sure it'd be good for him.
He would do it.
It would, but I'm not sure it'd be good for his hips. He's got arthritis in his hips, so.
I suppose you have to do it. Just be sensible.
Yeah.
Maybe you're no spring chicken yourself, love.
I'm not to be fair. We both come limping back.
Do you know what though? Like, and maybe this is a good thing to end with. I think what I was going to say earlier was like, I think we often put like a number on things, like, oh, I want to achieve this by this age, and by this age I'll have it all figured out, be settled down and blah, blah, blah. And I think we've mentioned this before, like the reality is I think you go through life and you realize it doesn't work like that. And it is just one big journey, and with all these different chapters, and there's amazing times, there's really bloody dark times, and it is just part of the process. Simple as that, like everyone's going to go through it. But I think like the sooner you start like not creating these attachments and putting numbers on things, the better. And the sooner you kind of just start seeing it as part of the journey, part of the process. And as hard as it may seem at times, kind of like saying to yourself, I'm right where I need to be right now. With even with all this crap that's going on that causes me a lot of upset and a lot of heartache for whatever reason, just being able to trust the process and kind of saying like, I'm gonna come out the other side, and I'm gonna be stronger for this. I'm gonna be wiser for this. And again, it's not easy. And if you are going through something right now, like you might be thinking, whatever, Matt, like.
Well, I always think when we talk, a lot of people probably look at us and look at our social media and go, it's all right for you. And one thing I would just say about that is, having worked with so many clients, you never truly know what someone's story is. So just be really careful of that thought, because there could be some big, deep, hard battles that person is going through and still showing up. And I think I I struggled initially to not feel that way, and then I also accepted that I would feel that way sometimes. So if that thought hits me, like, well, it's all right for you, I go, yeah, I can see why you're thinking that, but remember, you don't know that person's story. Let it go.
Yeah.
And send them love and light. And you know what I mean? Like I've got better at going, don't feel guilty for the emotions, what I'm trying to say, but also don't think that you know their story, because we don't know anyone's story.
100%. Like,
we don't even know our own most of the time.
No, it's true. Like, and the thing is like, I could give so many examples of people that on paper have got
everything
that, what most people
everything
would.
we cover.
Like, if some people might be in like great relationship, great kids, very successful in what they do, financially secure. But, so on paper, you're like, they should be happy, but again, those things don't equal happiness.
No.
Though, there can be so much more going on behind the screens, scene even. And I had this very conversation with a friend of mine yesterday around this discussion. And, I keep saying to you, don't I? Like, it's like all's not what it seems.
No.
And I think you've got to apply that to everything. Like what you see on social media, what even just what you kind of see in other people, like, that you may interact with day to day. It's like, and the only reason I say that is almost like, for me, it's almost just like a little bit of a reminder. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's I think a good question. Find a little thing to trigger, like I said, use jewelry if you're kind of like, I want to do something brave and hold on to that. Or some people, like anything that like kind of trips you out of that program. Like, what did you call it a minute ago? You said it's like you said a word in terms of stopping a program, like a
pattern interrupt.
That was it. We need a pattern interrupt. And I think when you're doing it on social media, because when we scroll, we're in trans state.
They see me scrolling.
So I think it's really good to go, when you've made an assumption about a post and a life of somebody, is that the lawyer in you that's just come out? So is this like, this lawyer that's trying to basically defend negative bias in your head? Like, and often it is. Or some people call it the monkey mind, or this kind of this voice that tries to think it knows the score and knows the reality, and it's often not a very nice reality, and it just takes over. And so it's just making up a reality. Like, and I think it's really good to, like we said, observe, then pattern interrupt with a question, or with a, what am I doing? Like, and then the next thing, which we talked about on loads of podcasts, so I will finish now and say this, is like, and boundaries. So if you're having that day where you just cannot stop yourself, just turn that phone off and go and put it in a padlocked box, or like just try and create friction between you going there and doing that habit and repeating that habit. And some days I can't even tell you why. It's usually distraction, usually escape, and try to do something like a yoga session or a breathwork session to bring yourself down, and then try and watch telly. I think what a lot of us do is sit there with our phone watching telly, and we don't understand why we can't fucking focus on one thing. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, well, because we're channel flicking and then the phone, and it's like, stop setting the scene for like attention spread, and try and bring your nervous system down really gradually. Like, my favorite is kind of like walk, something calming. It could be a 5-minute breathwork session, 5-minute body scan, then TV. And like, you would agree, I've got better at watching TV, whereas I went through a phase where I couldn't watch TV because I was so wired and distracted. So you're very pleased about that, because you love a Netflix sesh.
I do. It's
or an Apple TV sesh.
I kind of just find it's just a great way to disengage brain, and I think we all need to do that, disengage brain, and not on our phones. Do you know what I mean? Because that doesn't disengage brain at all. And still kind of like, it almost invites that kind of I think distraction.
Yeah. Some people would say, some people are watching too much TV for distraction, and some people probably need it a little bit more. Again, it's that balance, isn't it? Like,
no, yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. Like, and it's like,
I only say that so that TV is your only happiness in life, then we might want to rethink that situation as well. That's just lovely. Like, that's just watching other people's lives. Do you know what I mean? Often.
Well, it's funny because, like, a question I like to ask a lot of my coaching clients is like, what do you enjoy doing? And having a conversation with them around that, and it applies to absolutely everything. And that might be watching TV, it might be rock climbing, you know what I mean? It could be anything. But then the follow-up question is, well, how often are you doing those things?
Yeah.
And then for a lot of people, it's an eye-opener. They're like, well, actually not very often.
Yeah.
And that tends to kind of come back to, well, kind of like some of the stuff we were talking about earlier, like being able to put like a bit of a boundary around your time and the things that you like to do. But we spoke about guilt earlier, didn't we? Like people feel guilty.
Yeah.
And again, it's almost like, I think that ties in with that fear of being judged, you know, especially for parents as well.
Yeah.
You know, if parents are seen putting themselves first, be it booking themselves a massage or going for I don't know, a rock climbing lesson, whatever it might be, just something for them. It's away from the kids, you know, it's almost like, oh yeah, but that's really selfish of me to do that. You know, like I should be doing this for the kids or that for the kids. And it's like, you know, you can do things for yourself and continue to be an amazing parent, right? Like, and it's, but the reason I'm highlighting that is because I think that there is a lot of guilt around creating time for ourselves.
Yeah.
And I know we feel it, but you know, our guilt is more linked to work. You know, that's our battle. It's like, well, who am I to take an hour out for a massage when, you know,
this work needs doing,
or the business isn't where I want it to be, or you know what I mean? It's almost like that has to come first. You know, I have to hit this certain milestone in business before I can justify taking time out for myself.
The thing is, you'll just move the milestone.
Exactly.
And that is the problem, because everything, all of these things that we're feeling guilty about are marathons. Like caring for your parents is a marathon, caring for your kids is a marathon. Your work load in life is a marathon. Not even a marathon, it's longer than a marathon. You know what I mean? So if it's never going to end, then you need to pull up and get some water and electrolytes and some food. You know what I mean? Like you have to, otherwise, like you don't want to, like we said, have the bucket kicked over, you know, be tripwired out of the whole thing. And that's what happens to a lot of people. And if it does happen to you or has happened to you, most people that I speak to, especially if it goes into chronic illness, the realms of, and then they go on a journey of healing, they say it's the best thing that ever happened to them. Yeah. Because you need basically to know yourself, to fix yourself from those conditions. You need to have a journey of self-discovery. You need confidence, you need self-esteem, you need belief, you need to pull everything back to basically get your body back in balance. So I hope people don't go there, but that's our job, to stop that and help that and bring them away, steer them before they end up there.
So what's the closing thoughts then, Keris?
I think mine is that everyone needs
to move to Portugal.
No, I would say this. I said this in the car to you. I said, I think almost every single client, we've got some clients that we work with together, and there's just so many common themes, but the big one is most people care too much about others and what other people think. And that is a big root cause of so many habits and health issues. I don't want to say bad habits, but habits that don't serve you and then resulting health issues. But you can keep telling yourself, I'll start again tomorrow, I won't do this tomorrow, but you will, because you haven't changed the belief that drives the behavior. There you go.
Preach, sister.
There you go. Closing thought.
I like that.
We need to go. We are actually late.
We do. Well, big love it is. I hope you've enjoyed that and just taken something from it, you know, like I think we talk a lot. And I think if you can just come away with one thing that really resonated with you and has a positive influence on you, or even just like, you know, gives you something to ponder.
Yeah. One thing I will just add finally is please share this episode with anyone. We are trying to do more content that we think is helping everybody. So please share the podcast, or, you know, mention it to other people, because we don't take products and advertise or anything, do we? No. So if you can help us share this podcast, please, more people can find out about us, and then we don't have to spend as long looking at algorithms and business stuff that we don't like.
Make us go viral.
Yeah. Please.
Help us out.
I'll give you everything. It does feel like that at times.
What's that?
Like, as in running a business is just like, it's just...
No, that's just the story you're telling yourself. Change your narrative. Go and get out in nature and think about this.
I'm going.
Big love, Fizz.
Bye.
See you in the next one.